Hi, we're just going to have a quick look at how to connect to a Microsoft Access database from Python using the pypyodbc module. So to start this off, we're just going to take a look at our Access database because we need to make sure that all of the table names and column names are named without spaces. Okay. So you can see here I've just renamed, I've right clicked and rename. I've made sure that I've put underscores wherever there is a space and it's all lowercase because this will make it much easier later on. Okay, so you can see here I've just gone through and changed all of them so they're all lowercase and put underscores in. Okay, just put a bunch of dummy data in there because we don't want to be showing anyone's private information, or rather sensitive information. So what you're going to do now is just once you finish your changes, just make sure you save it and then close. And then the way I'm going to do this is we're going to use the old Microsoft database format. So you're going to go File, Save As, and make sure you save it as an Access 2002 to 2003 database. Okay, so Save As, and then what you're going to do then is just click Save. Oh, it's not happy about something. There we go. So make sure you put this in a file. I'm just going to call it database 1, but I've already got one there. So okay, so now you can close down Access. Okay. You should see this lock file disappear then, which means we're good to go in Python. So next thing we need to do is generate a data source name file. Now to do that you need to open up your control panel, find your administrative tools and find data sources. Now depending on what operating system you're using, it could be named something different, but for example on mine is called odbc data sources. Now I'm going to make sure that I stick with 32-bit. Okay, so I'm just going to right click and say run as admin. That brings up our data sources box. So what we're going to do now is we're going to look at the file DSN tab. Okay, so in here I'm just going to select my folder that I want to save it in. Obviously I made one earlier, so there's my file I made from earlier. But all you're going to do now is click add, and then you've got to make sure that you select our Microsoft Access driver star.mdb. Okay, click next, and then browse, and then again just keep it in the same place. I might as well overwrite it, so save, and then you say next, finish. Okay, so next up, this is an important step now, is we've got to select the database that we're going to try and connect to. So all we're going to do is click select. Now if you saved it in the correct format, you should see our database 1 by here. So just click OK. So well, select your database, then click OK, and then click OK again. Okay, obviously mine already exists, so I'm just going to overwrite it, and then all we're going to do then is click OK. Okay, so next up, all I'm going to do is right click on this file and edit. Didn't want to do that. Right click on this file and say edit with Notepad++. Okay, so this is our new connection string. It's quite long, and it's not very Python friendly at the moment because it's got all these new lines. If you just stuck that straight in Python, it would have a bit of, wouldn't be very happy. So the first thing we're going to do is delete the first line. So just backspace there, and then because this is a connection string, what we're going to have to do is wrap all of the places we see spaces. So this line here and this line here, when we get there, just wrap it with squiggly braces. Okay. Then to separate the names, all we're going to do is put a semicolon, and obviously Python likes it all on one line, so I'm just going to go through and put everything on the same line. Make sure that everything is separated with a semicolon. Okay, so this is the line with the extra space in. So I'm just going to wrap that around with squiggly braces again. Okay, so this is our brand new connection string that we can use in Python. I'm just going to copy this, and then we're going to head over to our idle shell. I'm just going to use interpretive mode now, as opposed to using the a script mode, although we could put this all into a nice script for later. Yeah, I think we will actually. So we're just going to do file new. So the first thing we're going to want to do is import pypyodbc. Okay, and then we need to create a connection string. Okay, so that's just going to be called con. I'm going to set that equal to the pypyodbc dot connect, and in here we're just going to copy and paste our new data source, end it with a thing like that, end bracket, there we go. Okay, now this could be a Python versioning thing or possibly a operating system specific, so depending on what works for you, you might have to change these backslashes to forward slashes, which I know in my case I do. So I'm just going to go through and make sure they're all forward slashes. That could be quite an important step depending on obviously whether it works or not. Okay, just one more. Oh. There we go. Okay, so now we've done that, next step is to get a cursor. Okay, so the cursor is going to equal the connection cursor, so the active cursor. So I'm just going to call mine cursor equal, set it equal to the con.cursor. Okay, that's going to get us an instance, and all I need to do now with my cursor is run an SQL query. So I'm just going to do cursor.execute, and in here I'm just going to stick my query, which is going to be select start from, now I know my table name is all lowercase, so I'm going to go customer underscore table. Table. Okay, good. Now I've executed my new command, I can do a for loop. I can just go for each row in my cursor dot fetch all, which basically means okay, go through all of the data. All I'm going to do here is print the row. Okay, so now when I run this, I'm just going to give it a quick save. I'll stick it in the same place as I stuck everything else. Documents, in here. So make sure you don't call this pypyodbc because that will overwrite the module. Just call it something like my connection program. Okay, so hopefully when this runs now, is it running? No. Okay, here we go. Oh, there we are, made a spelling mistake. Execute. That's a bit better. Okay, so there we go. So you can see that my connection was successful, and I got a instance of my cursor. I've executed, got all the data from the customer table, and it's just gone through each row in my database and printed it out. Okay, so the next thing you could do is you could change this, so we can go, rather than selecting everything, which is what the star means, we could select a specific column. So we could do customer table, and we can go dot, let's go for username. Okay, so now hopefully when we run that, it will just get all of the usernames. Say we wanted to get all the passwords, we could do password. Okay, and so on and so forth. So really all you're going to be doing is generating new SQL statements, and then depending on what you want to do with it, you can format it nicely and do all of that nice stuff. So the last thing we're going to do now is make sure you see that this Microsoft Access lock file is in use. So that means that nothing else can touch the database while the Python program is running. So it's very important that when we're finished, that the last statement is connection.close, or in my case con.close. Okay, so that will free up the database. So when I run it now, you'll hopefully see this database disappear. There we go. So now we've got access back there. Okay, so I hope that helped. Let me know if you've got any questions. You can send me an email. Thanks for watching.